Thank you for joining us. I'm Pinky Webb. The legal team of Chief Justice Maria Lourdes Sereno sees nothing wrong with the Senate's preparations should the impeachment complaint reach a full-blown trial. Senate President Coco Pimentel reveals that the Senate is now reviewing impeachment trial rules to make sure that it will be more than just a numbers game. Last week, with a vote of 25-2, the House Justice Committee ruled that the complaint versus Sereno has sufficient grounds. And next on their table is finding out whether it has probable cause. Let's go straight to the sources of the story, the spokespersons of Chief Justice Maria Lourdes Sereno. We have Attorney Josalie Deinla and Attorney Anacleto Jojo Lacanilao III. Attorneys, thank you so much for being here. Good to have you both.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
So we're going to start with this,
Sure.
just a brief background.
Yeah.
It was sufficient in form, sufficient in substance. There is sufficient grounds, and then now we move to the next stage, which is actually probable cause. What kind of process are we expecting with the probable cause stage?
This stage will be what we call evidentiary hearings, where the committee will determine if the Chief Justice as respondent in this impeachment proceedings stands to be tried for the allegations or the charges of the complainant.
Does that mean that this is the point wherein they will bring out documents and they may have witnesses against the Chief Justice?
They should have actually have done that during the hearing on sufficiency on grounds. That's why we were kind of disappointed, because during the hearing our expectation was that the Congress, the committee, would actually go behind the allegations, look for the evidence, look for the substance of the complaint, but they didn't do that. And so we're moving into this, and this will be the first time we will see the evidence, in fact, of Attorney Gadon. And we have seen it, we have studied this. There's nothing to it. There's no there, as they say. And so we hope that...
There is nothing among the 27 complaints against the Chief Justice?
Zero.
Yeah, no evidence whatsoever that would support the allegations.
Even Attorney Gadon admitted in some of the things that he said. Remember, we're already talking about the answer of the Chief Justice, the reply of Attorney Gadon, and our rejoinder. In many of these things, Attorney Gadon himself said, these are not even impeachable. And then he said too, we will do this as we go to the evidentiary hearing, which means to say that he doesn't have the evidence. And that's why we're kind of disappointed when Congress would say, we have the power to subpoena evidence. That means, are we going to fish for evidence during the probable?
That's why somebody said, I think it was you, Attorney, you said, or Attorney Lacanilao, you said, what is this, a fishing expedition?
Yes, we have already mentioned that in our previous interviews, that we are expecting that the complainant will be engaging in fishing expedition.
Now here's what puzzles me. Attorney Gadon has this complaint, he filed a complaint, you answered, he answered back, you answered back. In his complaint, from what I understood, that there were evidence attached to his complaint. Is that not true?
It's true in a sense that he attached some documents he received from the Supreme Court.
Right.
But when you look at the evidence, this authenticated documents that they say do not even relate to the complaints that he has actually filed.
You mean those
Yes.
evidence do not form part of the 27 complaints?
I'll give you an example. For one example, he alleged that the CJ violated, extravagance rule on the rule on buying the car, right?
The luxury car, the 5 million
But
peso luxury car.
The same document that he attached, he didn't mention this in the complaint, actually said that CJ is exempted from the limits of the purchasing, the purchase limits that the DBM has actually imposed on government officials. So that's the type of document that we're dealing with. Some of the things that he attached are news clippings, and many of these news clippings are actually false accounts, taken from some sources inside the Supreme Court.
So this is one
it's
of them?
fake news.
That's how you call it?
It's fake news, because even the news that he actually cited were wrong stories, were wrong accounts. How did he know that when only the Supreme Court can actually be in that room and actually knew the whole story?
I want to add something to this, is because how I understood it was that there are evidence attached coming from the Supreme Court. But I also understand that, because I read the impeachment complaint, that some of them came from news clippings, as you said,
Yes,
Attorney.
yes.
Some of them written by Jomar Canlas of the Manila Times, and but also there were evidence attached. I want to go to that first. I want to zero in on what you were saying about the Land Cruiser, because it's been talked about over and over again. He says that the CJ bought a 5 million peso Land Cruiser. In fact, there was supposed to be something even over and above that she wanted it bulletproof, etc. But let's stick to the 5 million. Is that an impeachable offense?
It is not.
My question.
Absolutely not. Okay, any purchase of capital, goods by government is ruled by procurement law of the Philippines. The procurement of the Land Cruiser went through the process. In fact, the first people that actually approve it would be the Supreme Court and Bank, which happened. So CJ did not get money personally and then spent it. And then when you look at the DBM rules, it actually allows CJ and others, 4 other top government officials, President, Vice President, House Speaker, and Senate President, they're allowed to purchase more than the required engine displacement of about 3 liters.
So silang 5?
Silang 5 exempted. Ngayon, why would they need to do that? Because of security reasons. For example, you cannot put a bulletproof on a Camry. No, that's too small of an engine displacement. That's why they needed to buy a larger engine displacement. Land Cruiser would qualify under that. And then it's funny, when during the hearing, Pinky, even Congressman Kaka Bagao said, actually when we go out to the
I'm going to say that. She said, lumabas lang tayo dito sa Kongreso of Land Cruiser. Yeah.
So where's the extravagance there?
But that, I understand what she said, but the Land Cruisers of some congressmen, not that I'm siding with, some of them are really rich, so they can fully afford buying a Land Cruiser. Okay, so but it could also be true that you go out. However, here's the point. If okay, it's not impeachable, but what Attorney Gadon is trying to say or trying to prove is that our president, is calling on all members of government, the co-equal branches of government, to have a simple lifestyle.
Sure.
And yet, here's Attorney Gadon saying, look at the Chief Justice, she buys a 5 million peso car.
Sure. I mean, DBM rules actually allows the purchase of displacement more than that. So let's settle that. It's a security vehicle. It's legal. Okay, I hope that the President got some security advice from his security staff, right? And say that anybody can just, buy a smaller kind of vehicle. He can probably do that and change the rules. But the rules then were okay.
So this is above board. The 5 million peso Land Cruiser was above board. I want to get to another topic, which Attorney Gadon has also talked about, that the Chief Justice is living an extravagant lifestyle. A penthouse, or how do you call it, the presidential suite in Boracay, which the Chief Justice said she did use, correct? During an interview, our Angeli Mario was there. So does that make that right also, that pumapayag siyang ipahiram yung isang penthouse or ang presidential suite of a hotel in Boracay?
It's a good question, no? Kasi in fact, yung meeting ng Chief Justices of ASEAN was held in Boracay. Let's put it that way. First of all, they needed a meeting room for the Chief Justices to meet on. They actually, part of the package of the whole contract was the meeting room. So the meetings were going to be held in that villa. Okay, there were, accommodation available in that villa. Instead of paying for another accommodation for CJ, she decided that, hey, why don't we just save some money for the government and the Supreme Court? And why don't we just stay here overnight? Because it's there anyway. It's paid, and the contract...
I don't get it. I'm sorry, I don't get it.
Yeah,
can you explain it to me again?
In this event, the ASEAN Chief Justices met to sign the Boracay Accord. And Boracay Shangri-La was the only hotel that the justices agreed to use that can actually accommodate security arrangements for them.
Got it, okay.
Yes, and so when it was time to get a good deal, the Chief Justice's office was actually informed that they would be getting a discount. So instead of getting the regular rate for the presidential suite, they were given 147,000 per night a rate. And on top of that, this presidential suite was the exact same place where the ASEAN Chief Justices met, where they held their photo op. Everything was done there. And the Chief Justice, actually, Meilu, slept there with her staff, with her security staff and the lawyers who went with her. So, actually, the government was actually able to save.
So what you're saying is, the government paid 130,000 pesos for a presidential suite.
No. For the villa, for use for the meeting.
Okay, so okay. Is that necessary, I guess, is my question. Couldn't it have been a, I don't know, 15,000 peso room?
But the villa was not for her. The villa was for the meeting of the 10 Chief Justices of the Supreme
Yes.
Court. However, the villa included some accommodation, rooms. And instead of the CJ actually getting another room for herself outside and pay more, they decided, why don't we just use the same room that's in the villa that's already paid for anyway? So in fact, she saved some money for the Supreme Court.
Image-wise, let's talk about that. Perception.
Well, you
Does
can
that
change,
look good?
yeah. Perception is not really bad because perception is that she actually saved money for the Supreme Court if we just actually know the story.
But that's not perception. Perception is, you stayed in a president. I'm talking about perception. Ano bang tingin? Ano nakikita ng tao?
Yeah.
Nakikita ng tao, ay presidential suite.
That's why we're changing it. I mean, the perception should not be that because the perception should be that CJ actually saved some money.
Save some money. Okay. Other things. Let's move over to the Chief Justice supposedly not including her attorney fees amounting to about, I believe, 38 million pesos from the Piatco deal in her SAL. And help us understand this. Why? Because this is a very important matter because a lot of people are saying this is the reason why the former Chief Justice was impeached.
Let me correct you there. She only earned 30.3 million pesos in the course of 5 years as an attorney for the Republic of the Philippines, defending the Republic against the claims of two giant corporations in two arbitration cases. So she earned this money in the course of 5 years, and this was not paid her in lump sum. And she earned this out of honest, hard work. And the theory of the complainant here is that this money remained intact after 5 years. It did not, because as a human, as someone who's working and has expenses, responsibilities to her family, she had expenses to pay for. So what remained of that money, she actually declared in her SALN when she was appointed Associate Justice in 2010.
How much was that? How much was included in the 2010 SALN?
I think the whole asset was like 20 million or something. But because, the point is, these were earned before she became Supreme Court Justice. And everything she earned and retained during that time that she filed the first SALN, she reported everything.
In 2010?
In 2010. It's incredible to think about, for her to report the whole 30 million in
Sorry,
2010.
can I get a clarification
Sure.
there? I guess the SALN would have been 2011 because she was appointed in 2010. Am I correct?
No, the first time you become appointed as Supreme Court Justice or something, you are supposed to actually file your
within
SALN
30
quickly.
days after qualifying or
So
that's your
year,
baseline. That's your
hindi ka
baseline.
naghihintay ng susunod na
Yes,
taon.
and the law prescribes that all the assets at the close of the year before she was appointed, the public officer has to report that in the SALN.
Okay, that's clear to me now. So what you're saying is, as a human being, at some point, she earned 30 million in 5 years. Let's put it at maybe 6 million every year for that 5 years as attorney's fee, and then at some point, nagamit niya.
Well, she paid for taxes, for one. She paid for expenses in her living.
But is that something you can prove?
Yes.
Although I know that is the burden of like a criminal case, is the burden of the proof lie with the prosecution?
Oh, yes, for sure. He should prove, Attorney Gadon should prove that she did not file her SALN properly, right? But we can actually substantiate any claim that we will make in terms of that.
And her assets have been disclosed faithfully in her SALN from the time that she was appointed AJ, up to now. And these documents have been open for public scrutiny. Nothing is redacted in these documents. And this is the thing. In his reply, Gadon said that he has no proof yet as to his theory that the money remained intact. So it will be a problem for him to prove this matter during the evidentiary hearings.
So it makes me think, how can anybody actually prove that the money is intact when...
Well, the difference is that when you are already in government, you have to report every income that you earn, right? And if you didn't, there was a presumption of ill-gotten wealth. But the things that you earn before becoming government official, I mean, how can that be ill-gotten wealth, right?
Yeah. Yun. It's not open to public scrutiny prior to you becoming Associate Justice. We'll be taking a short break. This is a source on CNN Philippines. Coming up, we'll ask the camp of Chief Justice Maria Lourdes Sereno about the proposal to make President Rodrigo Duterte a special prosecutor. Attorney Deinla and Attorney Lacanela will still be with us after the break. And later, would you like it pink or white? The future of the Metropolitan Theater lies in your hands. That's for today's In Focus. I guess the 38, but there's others, di ba? Parang there was an article I read, I think it was in the Inquirer, that CJ admitted to an impeachable offense.
No, I mean si ano yun eh,
Oscar Tan.
Oscar Franklin Tan. It's about the Hardeleza case.
Yes, yes. Yung,
Which she did not admit to anything.
Yeah.
Kasi tama yung ginawa niya eh. Mali yung appreciation ni Franklin Tan. Kasi sabi niya, prosecutor, judge, executioner, si CJ.
Yeah.
JBC yun eh, collegial decision yun eh.
Yeah.
Tsaka may Senado at may Kongreso.
May
doon, di ba?
Senado. Si, tama, justice.
Nasa rules din yun eh, yung pag-register niya na opposition. It's within the rules.
Got it. Okay. So let's talk about just briefly some of the
Sure.
decisions that the Chief Justice made without consulting the rest of the
Oh, good. We
Supreme
like
Court
that.
justices.
We like
And then, special prosecutor, cross-examine.
that. Silang word namin dyan, nonsense. Parang si Panel.
Fake news na tawa ako dun.
Fake news naman talaga eh.
Well, to me, it's clear that, especially yung sa bulletproof, that the five of them, yung kailan, parang mabigat yung kotse, parang ganun eh, no? You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. Our guests today, spokespersons of Chief Justice Maria Lourdes Sereno, attorneys Josely De인la and Jojo Lacanilao. I wanted to ask you about Supreme decisions made by the Chief Justice without apparently consulting the rest of the justices of the Supreme Court. Let's talk about that.
Can we go one by one? Because there are many allegations there. But and in every case, the Chief Justice did not do anything like that. It's impossible to think that that is true because the Supreme Court works as collegial body. Okay, she did not do anything outside of the system, outside of the rules of court, the internal rules of court, and under any other administrative procedures that the court has. So we can go one by one if you want, but we will just say Chief Justice has done nothing like that alleged by attorney.
Oh, okay, what about Associate Justice Hardeleza?
Are you referring to the JBC case?
Yes.
Okay. The charge that the complainant said in his complaint is that the Chief Justice imposed her will, short of saying that she imposed her will upon this collegial body, the JBC, when she did not vote for the inclusion of the justice for the appointment. So the truth is that under the rules of the JBC, when there is an issue as to the integrity of any of the nominees,
Members of the shortlist?
all of the members of the JBC have to vote unanimously in favor of the inclusion of that appointment.
So that's 7 members, right? 6 or
Yes.
7 members?
Yes.
So you have the Chief Justice, you have the IBP, you have one from the Academe.
Yes, one from the Academe, one from the
Senate,
private
private
sector,
sector.
Senate
one from
and
the
Congress.
Senate Committee on
Yes.
Justice, the chair, and the chair of the Committee on Justice.
So
in,
here's the thing, is it impossible for the Chief Justice to manipulate any short list? Baka naman...
Impossible.
It's
Kasi
impossible.
the collegiate, the body works collegially. So they vote singly and they vote individually according to conscience. And Joseph was explaining, in case of proposed appointments, there is a rule in JBC that if there is an integrity issue against any one proposal, they have to vote unanimously. And in the case of former Solgen Hardeleza, there was a case of integrity. In the case of the West Philippine Sea, there were allegations about what he was doing there was not in line with our interests, and so that was an integrity issue. And the JBC heard the testimony from Justice Carpio, and the JBC decided, and 2 votes were against Justice Hardeleza. That's why he was not included in the list given to the
Who were
president.
those 2?
I think Chief Justice was one of them.
Okay, and the other one was?
Maybe we should just look at the records.
Yeah.
I don't want to cite names because,
Yeah.
and then the press will run after her and ask her.
Okay.
But the bottom line is, she was merely registering
Her
her
objection.
good faith opposition to the inclusion of that appointment.
Which you're saying obviously is her right as part of a
So
collegial body.
it's within the JBC rules. Although we should also say, to be fair, that the Supreme Court actually decided against the JBC. But so they overturned the JBC decision. But that was not because of the machinations of the Chief Justice, there were other legal definitions or reasons for that. So not all.
But did that make her wrong? Her decision to bring
On the basis
put
of
forward her
on the basis
opposition.
of what the Supreme Court said, I think they said no, that's wrong. But it doesn't mean that that's impeachable, because if we say so, all the rulings by the lower court overturned by the
That are
Supreme
overturned,
Court will be
Yeah.
impeachable. So it doesn't make
The
sense.
Supreme Court actually did not make any finding of bad faith on the part of the Supreme Court, and actually
On the part of
JBC.
the JBC, you mean?
on the part of Chief Justice Melu, and even recognized her zeal in protecting the interests of the country
Okay.
with regard to the arbitration case.
Let's talk about, those are some of the documents that they may ask for, which you call ducis tecum?
Yeah.
What
Subpoena.
about
Subpoena.
subpoenas? What about witnesses? We
Right.
spoke to Attorney Gadon. He said there could possibly be 1, 2, or 3 members of the judiciary who may come as witnesses, who may be presented as
For now, it's a
witnesses.
speculation, but we would like to see if there will be some justices that will actually come, and we would like to exercise our right of cross-examination.
But is that a possibility? Can, as a member of the Supreme Court, go to Congress, being a co-equal branch of government, and possibly stand as witness against the Chief Justice?
Well, as far as we know, there are no rules prohibiting the appearance of Supreme Court justices to testify in this kind of proceeding. So that has been going around, the rumor that the justices will be testifying against her. But the Chief Justice actually says that she will welcome any move that will enlighten the Congress as to how they will act on this.
We're for the truth, and one important part of that is for us to have the right to cross-examine any witness.
Will you have that right?
She has that right under the rules of impeachment of the House of Representatives. There is a section there that expressly mentions cross-examination following direct examination.
Okay.
So after the complainant presents witnesses, the respondent, the Chief Justice in this case, has the right to confront these witnesses.
But
by
that's
cross-examination.
theoretical. For now, what we're hearing is not really very nice from Congress. No? Sabi nila, walang cross-examination
That's where I
right.
wanna go.
Or she should do it herself. It doesn't make sense. So right now, we're not hearing very good things about that, but we are pushing that she be allowed to cross-examine through her counsel,
Through her lawyers.
any witness that they present. To be
if
fair,
Attorney Dania said that you can, it's under the rules.
it's our interpretation of the rules. But when you hear some of the congressmen talk about their rules, it's really unfair to the Chief Justice, because they're practically not giving her any right or to cross-examine by her counsel. So that's just very worrisome for us.
Okay.
And we would like to appeal to the congressman to actually rethink that, because what we want is the truth. We want fairness. I hope that everybody is for fairness and truth. And if you're not allowing the other party, especially the respondent, to actually cross-examine the witnesses, how can you ferret out the truth? How can you actually prosecute this in the Senate when you don't actually heard what the other side said?
Your thoughts on Attorney Gadon asking if the president can be a special prosecutor? Is that something you would oppose, even if it's a possibility?
Yeah, one word, Attorney Panela actually said nonsense. It's nonsense.
Attorney Panela said that about Attorney Gadon's proposal?
Yes.
Or are you saying that about...
Well, we also say it. We agree.
Yeah. It's actually a major blunder for him, who happens to be a lawyer,
You cannot
to be
just invent
proposing
rules.
something
You cannot just invent.
unconstitutional and legally indefensible.
Well, how do you feel as spokesperson for the Chief Justice when you have a president saying that he wants the Chief Justice impeached?
I hope that he gets the right advice. I hope he reads the complaint, the answer, the reply, and the rejoinder. Because I know the president is a very intelligent person. If he reads it, he will understand that this is a bogus complaint based on fake news.
Are you really believing that? Because just very recently, the president even said that he probably even wants a second impeachment case against the Chief Justice. Let's go back to what the president said, if we have that.
Sir, are you also, because you keep on mentioning yung alleged corruption of the Chief Justice Sereno, are you also looking at the possibility of filing an impeachment?
Yes, because that is punishable under 3019. And that is the Anti-Graft and Corrupt Practices Law. Yan matatamaan ka dyan sa anti-graft. Alam mo kay Sereno, wala kaming dynamics.
Okay.
Wala akong galit kay Sereno. Wala naman siya, hindi mo siya nag-atake, wala. But the problem is, the law should apply to all.
So again, my question is, do you think he will still change his mind after a statement like that?
Well, he's known to have changed his mind a few times before, and there are times when we don't know if he's being serious or flippant. And we have faith in the president that he can still be enlightened with the documents that have already been filed with the House of Representatives. And also we have faith in the democratic process under the Constitution. It is the exclusive jurisdiction of the House of Representatives to be acting on the impeachment proceeding as of now. So the president has no role in that whatsoever.
So probable cause hearings probably when Congress resumes session around the second week of November, maybe around that time. Attorneys Deinla and Attorney Lacanilao, good to meet you in person. Thank you for shedding light on this issue. Maraming salamat po sa inyong dalawa. This is The Source on CNN Philippines. Still ahead, the Metropolitan Theater wants you to be part of history. Would you like it pink or white? That's for today's In Focus. Time now for today's In Focus here on The Source. Would you like to be part of a historic restoration project? There's an online poll happening on social media and you might just want to take part in the conversation. This is a post from the Facebook page of the Manila Metropolitan Theater, or MET. They're asking netizens what color should be used in the premier Heritage Theater. Should it be its iconic pink color or should it return to its original off-white color when it was inaugurated in 1931. The famous Art Deco building used to host zarzuelas and operas in its early years. It was closed several times and has undergone several attempts for restoration. But it was only last year that the process finally started. The National Commission for Culture and the Arts is leading the efforts of returning the Met to its former glory, and now they're asking the public's help in bringing the structure back into the consciousness of Philippine popular culture. So far, majority of netizens who share their thoughts want the Met to be off-white. What's your take? Should the Met be pink or off-white? Attorneys, pink or white?
I'd like it to be pink.
Attorney?
White.
I go for pink too. Thank you for joining us here on The Source. I'm Pinky Webb.